already spinning. That's not even full throttle. Ugh. I genuinely believe this car makes you a more attractive person. Welcome back, I'm Tedward. Welcome back to Little Silver, New Jersey, or actually just outside of Little Silver, New Jersey, where I'm doing another little photography gig for Mercedes of Little Silver with the McGovern Auto Group, and they always give me the best cars to commute in. Usually I'm driving a brand new Mercedes or something like that, considering we're at a Mercedes dealership, but Mercedes dealerships get a lot of great trade-ins, and if you're a savvy car buyer, you'll know that there are certain dealerships you should always keep an eye on their used inventory, because sometimes some real gems show up and maybe they get a little bit overlooked by others and you can get some screaming deals. Today we have a CT5 V Blackwing, which when I saw this in the warehouse, I was like, yeah, that's what I'll be driving. Anyway, it has 668 horsepower from its 6.2 liter supercharged V8. It's the perfect size, it's too much power, and it's a 6-speed manual transmission. Let's get this thing started. First, actually, let's talk about this size. Look at it, it fits in a spot. I mean, yeah, it's a wide car. You've got 275 section tires up front, 305s in the rear. Probably going to be a little expensive to replace those, but this is the thing. Ooh, this is so undignified. Every time I get out of this car, it like moves the seat all the way back, despite the fact that I have my seat setting on memory 1. It's a little, okay. I don't know how to fix that. I'm not spending enough time with the car to learn that. Anyway, let's get it started. I love the way this car starts because the initial turnover of that crank, it sounds like it's having a hard time. It's like, oh, this is so heavy and ridiculous. And it almost always sounds like it's like a little bit dead. All right, let's also get these mirrors out. I'm telling you, man, this is the E39 M5 for the 2020s. It's so good. It's so silly. It sounds like this, and there's some room in the back for people to terrify in the vehicle, and I love it. I mean, it's a Cadillac, you know, but it's a Cadillac that means business. This could easily have just been a Chevrolet, and you could have just made a Camaro 4-door and called this the ZL1. Some really nice things about the vehicle, right? You've got some buttons for things, which I like. We like buttons. I've got a V button, you know, instead of like an M button. We have our modes over here. Let's see. I've messed it all up because I've hit the V button. So let's go over here. I don't want snow and ice. Sport mode is lovely. And then that changes our steering, suspension, engine, brake feel, which is cool that it can change the brake feel, honestly. And can hit our little rev match button. The way this thing manages to rev match this engine, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me because it should just be like a heavy, big, clunky engine. And yet it rips off these downshifts. Like, it's just so crazy. Red seat belts, always a pleasure. And you know what? I'm desperately in need of a second cup of coffee because I had a bad hotel cup of coffee that I made in the room, not the vibe. So we got to run over to my favorite place, Rook Coffee, and pick up a real one before we get to shooting today. But the best thing about this car is it's gonna wake me up. First thing I notice as I'm backing up, other than this beefy shifter and clutch, is this heated steering wheel. It heats the whole like way around the wheel. My Lexus GX460, obviously not a competitor to the Blackwing, but the heated steering wheel of that car only does 9 and 3, and that is so annoying. It should be the whole wheel. Even with the exhaust in loud mode, it's noticeable. You get some burbles on the overrun and stuff, but what's nice about this is that you won't probably like wake the dead. You're not gonna really anger your neighbors that much, which is good because this does need to fit into your daily life. And fuel economy wise, not so bad. It gets like 22 miles per gallon, which isn't good, but I only get like 19 in my Lexus GX. So trade in the SUV. I should be taking my own advice. Trade in the SUV and get yourself a CT5 Blackwing. The problem is, this still as a used vehicle is like a $90,000 car. They came out with the new ones meaning that they're making more, which probably brought the price down a little bit because people were freaking out that like, oh, I better get into my Blackwing now. People were paying over. People were doing everything they could to get into these before they died, but I just don't think they're going away quite yet. For whatever reason, I think people get like worried that a reinforced clutch or like a beefy clutch is going to be hard to daily drive. To me, I'm like, that's the dream. Like, it's not like a stage 3 race clutch where it's like binary on and off. It still works well, and it still has a dual mass flywheel. So it is going to have some relative comfort. The only problem I have with like a dual mass flywheel in these cars, when you're trying to play the game of performance and comfort, it always makes it difficult to get kind of that mid-range 1-2 shift smoothed out. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, I guess I'm dialed in now. But sometimes when you really kind of get on it a little bit, if you're hitting it hard, you're just slamming gears, not a problem. But sometimes it's that like mid-range where you're like, huh, is this what I need? All right, I don't actually remember where I'm going, so. I've driven this car twice before. Once was in California. That's when miles per hour graciously let me drive his blue car, which is like such a good spec. That car was great. And then another time at Boston Motorsports where they had basically this car. And that's where I really fell in love with it because I was able to kind of blast around and beat on it a little bit. And it's just hysterical. Like, you just flick this tail out anytime you want with a little bit of throttle. Now, it's kind of cold out right now, so, you know, it's not like this car will do that at 70 degrees. You know, it is not a normal day for this car on these tires, but it is hysterically fun. And for somebody like me who just needs like the ability to hoon, but not necessarily am gonna follow through at like 160 miles an hour, it's really fun. I love having I know I've totally like lost my train of thought, but that's what this car is all about. It's like you get into the throttle and whatever you were thinking about no longer matters, and now that's the only thing that matters. What I love about this car is that it is objectively very, very fast. However, it's rear wheel drive, right? This is not like a real numbers competitor in terms of like lap times or 0 to 60s with the Mercedes E-Class AMG or an M5 competition or CS. You know, like those cars could probably always jump it off the line. Maybe there's like those moments where a drag racer could hit a number in this car that would rival those cars, but like you're not going to be able to repeat that over and over. Like any idiot can get in an M5, myself included, and just rip off like the fastest 0 to 60 you've ever done in a sedan. And what I like about this car is that it's like, yeah, we don't care. This is the car you wanted. Like, oh, you love the E39 M5 because it's like a Jekyll and Hyde luxury performance vehicle with a great sounding V8 and a 6-speed manual transmission that makes you feel like you're a driver. Like, oh, we'll give you that. Just give me that. Why do I need to have so much obnoxious technology? Why does the car have to do everything for me? And yes, this is available in like a 10-speed automatic, but like, why would you? Okay, you know what? That's not really fair. If you can't drive a manual transmission for, you know, either capability or whatever reasons, I get it. Like, everyone should have the opportunity to like drive this thing. But if you can do this, if you can row this stick, this is the way to do it. And they managed to make this thing feel so good. Like, if you've ever driven a Camaro, that's kind of how this shifter feels. But it's also not so obnoxious that you're like, oh, this is only the Sunday driver. Like, this car somehow manages to always feel special, but also very easy and luxurious to drive. While we're sitting around, like, I don't know, this is the thing about this car. It's the perfect size. These seats, you have to get, oh my God, you have to get these seats. These seats are so supportive. And I just missed having torque. I haven't had torque in a long time. Your right foot matters in this car. You simply cannot slam that throttle. You cannot be ham-fisted. I mean, luckily the traction control in this car is hysterically good, so it will probably save you if you are, you know, just being a silly goose. But I love that it matters what you do. in so many cars today, like, just doesn't matter what you do with your foot. Like, you can plant it in, I mean, I'm in like 5th gear right now, and it still just, I mean, you could run a whole racetrack just in 5th gear. Like, from like, look at this. We'll go down to like 1,000 RPM in 5th gear, and I'm just gonna open it. I mean, we're beating every Honda. Okay, also, MagRide, or magnetoreological dampers. Is that correct? Did I say it right? I have actually never said that out loud, so I don't know if that's true. But anyway, MagRide is so good. We know this. This is not like contested science. We know that this is legitimate and wonderful. And, you know, it has done wonders to make a car like this behave like a sports car and like a luxury car, but not in the wild dynamic range that, say, Bentley has with their Air Ride. Like, MagRide is a little more geared toward the sporty side, which it just keeps things so composed. Goodness, they put a little bit of salt down. Already spinning. That's not even full throttle. I was like rolling onto it. That's what this thing does. It's so ridiculous. And that's the thing. I know you're gonna be like, you're driving like my grandma. Well, I'm going to work, and it's like 30 degrees, and I'm on PS4S's in a 700 horsepower car. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm doing my best to give you a few little noises, but it's so good. It's just so good. And you know what's funny is you can actually play the game of like going pretty fast while you're warming up the car, because I have never really needed to go anywhere near redline. You can go faster than like any other daily driver you've ever had under 4,000 RPM. In terms of weight and like how things feel, like the clutch, it's beefier than a Honda, but it's not like heavy. It's a telephone pole. I mean, that's about all we can put down right now, as my little temp thing says. We're at 35 PSI, and it just says cold. And I know there's another setting where yesterday I drove it for a while, and it got to the word cool. So it can warm up. That's where we're going, but I gotta get coffee. And because I'm staying at a different hotel, I'm going to a different coffee shop. It's the same brand, the Rook Coffee. They do like great little pour-overs, and it's nice because I just like getting like a proper cup of coffee, and I don't want a Dunkin' Donuts. I want something strong. I want something that's gonna like kind of melt my face off and just wake me up. And this coffee shop is sitting right here at the train station, which is so, it like makes the location cooler. But I guess it's tough to get into sometimes because of parking. And look at this. One of the best things about this car, like I said, is the size. Like, I can park it anywhere. I had this BMW the other day, and it drove me out of my mind because this 840, it was like one of the hardest cars I've ever had to park. And like, I was always too far. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was just me being off that day, but like, I just felt like, geez, like this thing, trying to get it between the lines was ridiculous. All right, give me 1 second. I got to run in and grab my coffee. Rook Coffee acquired. I'm a happy boy. All right, let's get this thing started again. Ugh, I genuinely believe this car makes you a more attractive person. I think that a lot of times people try to make a personality out of their vehicles and it just doesn't work. But this one definitely means you're not a self-indulgent wiener. And now the worst part of my journey is the rest of the way back not spilling my coffee, even though this car has the ability in the next, I don't know, 600 feet to where I need to go to completely annihilate the rear tires. I'm pretty sure from here to that building over there, if I wanted to, it would be possible to cord these tires. And it would do it happily. Okay, I need a napkin, but luckily the materials work pretty well in my favor here. Nothing is ruined. Use this guy as protection. All right. It's New Jersey. We can do things like that. Anyway, I'm filming this. Hey, there's Jack. I'm genuinely a more attractive person for having driven this vehicle.
Fucks, right?
This is the I don't need a date. I have this on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
This is the best.
Yeah.
I would like you to meet my new best friend and the love of my life.
I love your POV setup.
Thanks. That's Jack. He helps me collect cars to photograph. He's a legend. And he usually picks me up from the airport too. So anyway, I am going to park up. Look at this. I found the only piece of snow in this entire parking lot. I'm gonna move over a little bit. I love this top-down camera. This is one of the best in the business, dude. Like, I wish my Lexus had this. I wish my Honda had this. It's so good. My seat's vibrating because it's like, yo, there's a snowbank. Don't do it. It's okay. We're okay. Everything's fine. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and coming on this little morning commute with me to Mercedes-Benz of Little Silver, which is now part of the McGovern Auto Group, which I work with them pretty often. They've always got the cool cars for me to drive. And today, I'm happy that they had this in their inventory. And just let this be a reminder, if you have sort of high-end dealerships where people are trading in and out of expensive things, sometimes they trade out of really cool things, especially when they're looking for a luxury car and maybe they bid off a little more than they could chew on the performance side. That's where something like this ends up getting traded in for like an E-Class or an S-Class or something. And I just think that is a real fun trick up your sleeve to look for used inventory at dealerships that you otherwise may not have looked at. So don't forget to respect the drive. Happy Valentine's Day. That's the day we're filming this. And I'll see you in the next one.